Are you serious? Are you serious? Folks, we have a coup, a military coup taking place right now in Zimbabwe. The president of Zimbabwe, Robert Mugabe, who's 93 years old, has been in power 47 years. He has been arrested by the military. He's been confined to his house by soldiers who have surrounded his official and private residence, as well as other government buildings. Sources suggest that his wife, Grace Mugabe, who was being positioned to eventually take over for her husband, has left Zimbabwe for Namibia. She's left to go into exile. The sacked Vice President Emerson Mnangagwa was reported to have returned to Zimbabwe this morning from South Africa, where he fled after being stripped of his office. Now, the president of the neighboring South Africa, Jacob Zuma, the president of South Africa, Jacob Zuma, said he had spoken to President Mugabe and said he was fine, that he was sending special envoys to meet both Zimbabwe's president and its senior army officers for conversations. So South Africa is getting involved right away. The president there, Jacob Zuma, he doesn't want to have a bloody coup take place, and then thousands of refugees start flowing out of Zimbabwe into South Africa. So he's sending an envoy over there right now. And the UK, the United Kingdom's government, has warned British nationals that are living there to stay indoors until this situation becomes more clear. The Foreign Secretary, Boris Johnson, has called for restraint. Also, overnight, Zimbabwe Defense Forces seized control of the state broadcaster. The name of that network is ZBC. With their spokesman, Major General S.B. Moyo, screening the statement declaring that they are targeting criminals that are surrounding President Mugabe. And so we have a general, Major General S.B. Moyo, may be the guy that's leading the coup. Both the statement made it clear the army had acted in response to a purge of the ZANU-PF members, including the vice president, Emerson Mnangagwa, who was sacked by President Mugabe last week. He fired him and had been angered by the failure of state media to report on a warning issued by the army chief, General Constantine Chigawiga, who had put out this statement on Monday. The situation in Zimbabwe has moved to another level. To the members of the Zimbabwe Defense Forces, we all leave is canceled. Nobody's going to be given any time off. And you are all to return to your barracks with immediate effect. Let it be clear, we intend to address the human security threats in our country. Therefore, any provocation will be met with an appropriate response. Armored vehicles and troops this morning have blocked the roads in central Harare around the government buildings and the presidential residence. There are reports that at least one minister, Ignatius Chamabo, who holds the finance brief, has been detained by the military. Chambo is a leading member of the G40 faction of the ruling ZANU-PF party, led by, of course, President Robert Mugabe's wife. Grace is her name. And she's vying to succeed the 93-year-old president. And this faction is believed to be the target of a military action. In other words, these military generals who've been loyal to President Mugabe, they don't want his wife to take over. They fear that if she does, she will get rid of many of them. So they're taking over themselves and are going to, and I have a feeling that this general who went on television to let everybody know what they're doing. They took over the presidential palace. They took over the parliament or Congress. They took over also the nation's television station. He went on there and gave a speech letting everyone know. He gave a broadcast letting everybody know that the president had been taken out of power, that he was under house arrest, and that this guy's name is Major General S.B. Moyo. All right? So we're going to keep a close eye. Zimbabwe has a very unstable country, very, very unstable currency. The Zimbabwe dollars are just about useless. And if the government collapses, if the general that's taking over doesn't get a hold of this thing like right now and get the support and confirmation from South Africa. It sounds like South Africa's president, he wants to get over there, Jacob Zuma. He wants to say, oh, wait a minute, let's not let this blow up. Okay, so who's in charge? You? All right, great. We're going to surround you, bless you. And Robert, let's not kill the old president. Let's let him leave quietly into exile. Let's send him somewhere where he can be safe, he and his wife, and let's move on. That would be the smartest move could be made in this current situation. Is it right? I don't know. Probably not. But at this point, it don't really matter. Stability is the most important thing. You see, it's probably not right that he's been in charge 47 years. And it's probably not right that he's just trying to hand the country to his wife before he dies. And because he's not a king. He's supposed to be an elected, okay? So there really probably needs to be elections and do it fairly. The problem is this country is not stable enough to handle that. And they're barely surviving the way it is. So stability is what needs to be done. So we really need to pray for the people of Zimbabwe. Really, folks, pray. We don't need another war, another civil war, or another coup that's bloody. Let's see if they can transfer this power quietly and softly. Give your life to Jesus Christ. He's coming soon. This is what the Bible said would happen in the last days. There would be wars and rumors of wars. Nations would rise against nations, and there would be commotions and confusion among people. And we're seeing it right now.